Hi friends. Christians along with Jews and Muslims believe that God is one. However, Christians, while professing their faith in one God, also believe that God is a Trinity. Isn't it intriguing? God is one and God is Trinity? Many therefore believe that Christian faith is not really monotheistic, but polytheistic or pseudo-monotheistic. So today, I'll try to explain what we really mean when we use the word Holy Trinity. To begin with, Christians believe in one God without any doubt. The Bible and the church teachings clearly show that there is only one God. The first commandment itself is to believe that God is one. In fact, oneness of God follows human logic. If God exists and He is the Almighty, then our logic would tell us that He ought to be one. There is no place for the possibility of multiple omnipotent gods existing simultaneously. Thus, monotheism naturally flows from a belief in an omnipotent God. Now, coming to our topic, let me first brief what the doctrine of Trinity is. It is a belief that God is one, but exists in three co-eternal consubstantial persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I know that's a bunch of difficult terms. In simple words, God is one in essence, but there are three persons in God. Each of them exists forever and is almighty. That is, Father is God, Son is God, Holy Spirit is God, and God is one. But Father is not the Son is not the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is not the Father. How can this be monotheistic? Let's see that. An easy way to understand this concept is to use two question words, what and who. If someone were to ask me what I am, my answer would be human being. Whereas, if the question is who I am, I would answer I am Angelo, because the word who stands for a person. Now, as far as I am concerned, the answers to the questions who and what refer to the same thing, myself. The things are different when it comes to God. If you were to ask God, what are you? The answer would be, I am God. And if the question is, who are you? The answer could be Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. These three persons individually are fully God, not 1/3 of God like Quranic understanding of the Trinity. How is it possible God is only one being and yet there are three distinct persons in Him? Oneness of God, as I said earlier, can be understood using human logic. But three persons in one being is not comprehensible. Even for Christians, it is a truth revealed by God Himself, not known using our cognitive abilities. But is it really illogical? No. I would like to use an explanation given by C.S. Lewis. In mathematics, a line is a one-dimensional thing. If there is a one-dimensional being, for it, two lines are two different things. They cannot have the same being. But in two dimensions, we can have a triangle with 3 lines and a square with 4 lines. A square is not 4 different things, only a single figure, although it is composed of 4 different lines. Now, if there is a 2-dimensional being, for this being, 2 different squares are 2 distinct things. They cannot be a single figure. But in a 3-dimensional world, a world in which we are living in, a 3-dimensional being like us human beings can have a cube which is comprised of 6 squares. We know that a cube exists, but for a 2-dimensional being, it is illogical to think that 6 squares are nothing but one thing. Now, if a 3-dimensional being can communicate with a 2-dimensional one, and tell that there is a cube with 6 squares, only then such a being can know about the possibility of the existence of a cube. The same logic applies to us as well. For us, 2 different cubes are 2 distinct objects. They cannot be one thing. But if there is a four-dimensional being, it can have many cubes but still a single thing. A hypercube, like a tesseract in the four-dimensional world. This logic also applies to persons. In a three-dimensional world, a person is a being, whereas two persons are two different beings. They cannot be a single being. Since God is not confined by three-dimensional space, He can be multi-personal and yet remain a single being. Thus, God being a Trinity is not at all illogical. How do we know that God is Trinity? We can know it only because God revealed it so. This brings us to another question. Why God is only three persons, not infinitely many? Remember, the quantity is not important. What is really important is the ability of God to be multi-personal. The real reason why God is three persons, God alone knows. However, we can have some idea about the importance of the number 3. Philosophically, a person is one who can relate. When we talk about relation, there need to be at least two persons and the relationship between them. Thus, there are three things: two persons and their relationship. Trinity is a relationship between the Father and the Son, and this relationship is Holy Spirit. Thus, the three persons in the Holy Trinity are the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They three are distinct, co-eternal, and co-equal persons, although one in essence, nature, power, action, and will. If they are co-eternal, that is, if they existed eternally, why the names Father and Son? To make it clear, Son does not mean he is created by the Father or he came into existence in a time only after the Father. No, they both have only one existence because they both are one being. The idea is that the Father begat the Son eternally, and when the second person, the Son, was incarnated in the person of Jesus, he called God his Father. But what is really important is that the Father loves the Son eternally and infinitely, and the Son reciprocates that love. Their love is so strong that this love itself is a person, and this person is whom we call the Holy Spirit. I can think of an analogy from science. We know the concept of force in physics. The gravitational force, for example. There are 4 fundamental forces in nature, and the force is nothing but the interaction between things or particles. But the particle physics, based on experimental evidences, tells us that this interaction between the particles is itself another particle. Applying this to the Holy Trinity, the relationship between the persons of the Father and the Son is also another divine person, the Holy Spirit. The very nature of Godhead is imparted even in the particles that are fundamental building blocks of nature. And all the more, God, who created man in his own image and likeness, also gifted him with the same love so that humans can relate with one another in the same way the persons in the Godhead are related. And this ability to relate with one another in love is what makes us persons like God himself is. Having said this, the Holy Trinity is still a mystery. We cannot fathom it completely. All that we can know about the Trinity is what God reveals to us. Using our intellect, we know that God is one, and God revealed himself through the person of Jesus that he is 3 divine persons. Thus, the answer to the question what is God, and to the question who is Father, Son, and the Spirit. God is one in 3 persons, or 3 persons in one being. Therefore, Christianity is a monotheistic religion which believes in the existence of one God. And this God is multi-personal. In other words, a triune God. Thanks for watching. Please like and share this video with others, especially those who think that the Christians believe in 3 gods, and also those who have an understanding that the doctrine of Trinity is illogical. Please subscribe to my channel, A Catholic Speaks, to watch similar videos where the Catholic faith is explained. God bless you all.